books, and this is just too much rambling about, I don't even know. I love a new book. You know, guys, Hi everyone, it's Audrey and welcome back to Chapter and Converse. Today's video is going to be a little book outlet haul, unboxing. Here it is. So I haven't opened it yet. I took my name off so nobody can find me, but I had mentioned in another video, which should have gone up by now, that I placed a little bit of a book outlet haul. And some of the books are research purposes for the book that I'm writing, and some are just for fun. And because I had to get to that $35 mark to get free shipping, because come on, how can you not? There's a couple randoms in here. So I am coming off the psycho work week that I think I maybe mentioned in another video. And if I didn't, long story short, we had this 3-day event in the office, which required a ton of planning ahead of time. It is the biggest thing I've done, obviously, since I joined this company, and it's the biggest thing I've done in a really long time. And all in, it wound up going really well, which is terrific, but it was very long days, like 4:30 a.m. alarm clocks going off, late nights, kind of nonstop, running around on your feet, all that good stuff that goes into running events. But it went off great. And then we had a happy hour to end it. There may have been too much wine at that happy hour. I feel like I was so running on adrenaline and overtired. So perhaps did not make the best choices that night, but we had a really good time. And it's a couple days later and I'm finally feeling human again and have sort of been running around trying to catch up on the rest of my life, which I have ignored for the better part of the last week. And I thought I would hop on here and chat with you guys because, as you've noticed, I haven't posted videos in a bit because I've just been living in a hole, doing work and not doing much else. So what's more fun than a book haul, right? So we're gonna open it together and we're gonna see what's inside. So I've got my knife. As someone who stuck a knife through her hand while cutting an avocado, let's hope I don't cause an injury here opening this box. Okay, so I feel like there's going to be a little bit of not remembering what some of the books are about. And again, a couple are totally random, but I was in a little bit of, I don't know, like a theme trope that I was liking, and I actually looked up some other books with that trope, so I'll explain it when we get there. So long story short, I'm not gonna flash it because my address is on it. I wound up spending $35.02. Boom. Oh wait, I should see how many books I got because that kind of makes it all better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 books for $35. It's a little less than $4 a book. I think that's great. So here we go. Okay, so right on top, one of my favorite authors, All the Beautiful Lies by Peter Swanson. So if you guys have been here for more than a minute, you know The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson is one of my most favorite thrillers ever, and I recommend it to everybody because it's just that good. And while I didn't completely love Before She Knew Him, his latest book, I really did enjoy Her Every Fear, and I enjoy him as a writer, and he tends to do things that are in and around Boston, which I am trash for. So this book is, okay, I remember. So it's about this guy named Harry, and it's days before his college graduation, and his father dies. The police think it's suicide. So Henry returns to his dad's home in Maine, and there him and his stepmom kind of help each other pick up the pieces and try and figure out what happened to his dad. But then another mysterious woman enters the scene, and Harry is suspicious of her, and I think, here we go, mesmerized by these two women, Harry finds himself falling deeper under their spell. So I think it's a little bit of mystery of what actually happened to his dad, and then there's something going on with these two women. I believe they're both older than him, so Cougar Town-ish. One's his stepmom. I think there might be like an Oedipus thing that happens in this book, but I don't totally know. But I love Peter Swanson, so I picked this one up. Okay, more in the box. So the next one, and honestly I don't know what all of these are about, of course, is Keep You Close by Lucy Whitehouse. And the only reason I picked up this book is because Lala from Books and Lala was talking about Lucy Whitehouse, and she has a new book that's out, or maybe it's not out yet. I think it's coming out maybe end of the year. But she was basically like, read anything by Lucy Whitehouse because it's great. So that's kind of all I needed for a recommendation. And I would say for the most part on thrillers, Lala and I tend to kind of have the same opinions on things. So I trust her tremendously. I love her honesty about books. So on the back of this one, it says, they said it was a tragic accident. She knows better. The brilliant young painter, Marianne Glass, is found dead in her snow-covered garden. Rowan Winter, once her closest friend, knows her lethal fall couldn't have been an accident. Marianne had vertigo, paralyzing vertigo. She would never have gone that close to the edge. So I would suspect that he is probably trying to find out what happened to his friend. So it says, a brilliantly twisting psychological thriller about old friends and dark secrets. I love old friends. I love dark secrets. I love thrillers. So I'm excited for this. The next book I picked up is part of my research, and it is called True Gentlemen. Bear with me. By John Heckinger, and it is the broken pledge of America's fraternities. This is all about SAE. So anyone who's ever been, or anyone who's been involved in Greek life knows about SAE. And they have one of the worst, if not the worst, reputations among all of the fraternities. And I can tell you it was no different at BU when I went there. Notorious, absolutely notorious. And they did get kicked off campus while I was there. I don't think it was the first time, it probably wasn't the last, and they remained one of the most sought after fraternities to be a part of. So without going into too much detail about the book I'm writing, what I will obviously tell you is that there is an aspect of it that revolves around Greek life in college. And while I was part of Greek life, yes, it was a while ago, and my experience certainly wasn't the only one out there. I had a very positive experience. I can say, like, horror stories you hear about hazing and things like that was not a part of my experience, and I would like to say it was not something I would have tolerated even at that age, but I heard some pretty horrible stories from friends of mine and from sisters of friends of mine at the schools that they went to. And some of it was very obvious where I went to school. But this is all about sort of the underbelly of the fraternities. And it says it takes readers deep into the world of fraternity culture and reveals how profoundly that culture influences Wall Street, Main Street, and Washington. So what I'm really trying to do is be able to add a real authenticity and sort of in the conspiracy mystery of what I'm writing, the fraternity plays a big role, both in the past and in the present tense of my book. So again, I mean, I have a lot of friends who are in fraternities. Their experiences, I would say, were wholly positive. And while we are very far removed from when we went to school, I will say some of my friends are still pretty adamant about holding some of those secrets pretty sacred and not sharing. And I think part of it is because I know a lot of the folks involved. So I respect that tremendously. But after I took that Taylor Jenkins Reid class about how research really adds authenticity to your books and makes it a more true reader experience, I realized I really needed to do more than just rely on my personal firsthand experience of Greek life. And honestly, I do have a bit of a curiosity about it. And I don't know, I feel like there's gonna be some good dark secrets in here. It's obviously a nonfiction book. And I think it just focuses a lot on sort of the underbelly. And then, you know, I do think there is a real brotherhood you know, even to the fraternities that do some really bad things, just as there's a real sisterhood to a lot of the sororities who did some really bad things. So I do think a lot of the people who are part of these fraternities believe wholly in what people were doing. I imagine some of it's going to be shocking. I imagine some of it's going to be pretty disturbing. So it's drinking, it's sexual assault, which was a huge, unfortunate thing that happened with SAE, pledges, the hazing, discrimination, sort of their whole history. So it's all about the stories that unfold around this fraternity. Okay, so for something a little lighter and the books that are super random, I just want to make sure, okay, there's only 2 of them. There's actually 3 in the trilogy, but I somehow cut myself off and only bought 2. But I am reading Truly Devious right now. I also mentioned this in another post. And long story short, it is a girl who goes away to a boarding school in Vermont and is solving sort of a mystery from the 30s, and it's told in present day. And it's YA, mystery, thriller. There's kind of like some nice Sherlock Holmes kind of throwback feels. I love sort of the 30s time period of it all, but it's like, it's an easy, fun, enjoyable, well-crafted read. I'm a little bit more than halfway through it. And before that, I read another book set in a boarding school. I've talked about the boarding school trope that I love. You guys know I love mysteries. So I started to Google some other books set in boarding schools. And of course, it brings up a lot of YA books, which that's not going to be a whole other video, my thoughts on YA, because I made a lot of comments about YA that I'm going to kind of take back because I think they were said from a naive place. But the first book I picked up is called A Study in Charlotte by Brittany Caballero. And it says, "You've never seen Watson and Holmes like this." So this is a Charlotte Holmes book. My battery is dying. Seriously. And I'm back. I promise you guys, one of these days I'm gonna get good at filming and not having constant interruptions because I don't plan ahead with my battery or my card. But anyway, A Study in Charlotte. So a Charlotte Holmes mystery. And the back, two more TV shows I have never watched. Fans of television's Elementary and Sherlock will avidly devour this book. So it is a girl who goes to a Connecticut prep school. Sherringford is the name of the school. And it is also home to Charlotte Holmes, the famous detective's great-great-great-granddaughter, who has inherited not only Sherlock's genius, but also his volatile temperament. So it is Jamie Watson and Charlotte Holmes meet. I don't know if it's like a friends to lovers or like enemies to friends. I don't know if there's any romance to this book. Equal parts tender, thrilling, and hilarious, A Study in Charlotte is the first in a trilogy brimming with wit and edge-of-the-seat suspense. So I don't know what the mystery is about. I don't know too much about the book. It's from 2016. But I'm just sort of in this mode of like really enjoying boarding school mysteries. So I found this one, and as luck would have it, the second book in the trilogy was there, which is called The Last of August. Watson and Holmes, a match made in disaster, it says. So I don't want to read too much about the back of this one in case it has any spoilers for this. And then there is a third book. Don't ask me what it's called. And they had it on there, and I wound up not getting it. The Case for Jamie is the name of the third book. So I wound up not getting it because it was a little more expensive, and I feel like it was the hardcover. And let's be honest, I'm like starting to buy a random series, so maybe I should just stop with the first 2 books. But in a weird kind of book outlet moment, there was nothing else that I like really wanted, and I was also trying to like just hit that $35 mark. We all play the game when we go on book outlet, right? So I got the 2 of those, and we'll see what happens there. And then I got this is another one that's totally random. It's called There's Someone Inside Your House by Stephanie Perkins. And this is a book that came up when I was like searching other books, and you know, in book outlet where they're like, oh, people who bought this bought that, or like you might be interested in this. So this is a chilling, fast-paced, horror-inducing story. It's been almost a year since Makani Young came to live with her grandmother, and she's still adjusting to her new life in rural Nebraska. Then, one by one, the students of our high school begin to die in a series of gruesome murders, each with increasing and grotesque flair. As the body count rises and the terror grows closer, will Makani survive the killer's twisted plan? So this feels a little bit like Scream to me, which I haven't watched that movie in forever, and it was on the other night, or I guess it was like last weekend. It was on, and I watched most of it, and I forgot how amazing that movie was in the hilarity, in the darkness, in the gruesomeness, in just sort of the smartness, that's not a good word, in the intelligence of that movie. I remember seeing that in the movie theater and losing my mind. Such a good movie. So I feel like this could kind of have vibes like that. And it says, romance and grisly murders crawl into the back seat of the car for a makeout session, producing a read that is as eerie as it is delightful. So I feel like it might be some other spooky readathon happening right now, but either way, Halloween's next week, and maybe when I finish Truly Devious, I'll pick this up because it's just sort of that time of year. We'll see. Maybe I'll end October with a bang. And then 2 to go. The next one is another of my research books. So to balance out my fraternity research, I got Pledged, which is The Secret Life of Sororities. It's by Alexandra Robbins, New York Times bestseller. This has a new preface. This came out, I guess in 2015, it looks like also. So this is, the author of this book spends a fascinating year undercover with a group of sorority girls. She witnesses the dark side of collegiate sisterhood, sexual issues, sorority secrets, psychological abuse, hazing rituals, racism, widespread body image disorders, but at the same time introduces us to many of the intelligent, good-hearted, and successful women within its ranks. So this is fly-on-the-wall voyeurism, remarkable insight into the Greek life, and now recent updates and interviews with the characters 10 years later. So, like I said, my experience wasn't necessarily the universal one. I am looking to dig deeper, and again, the Greek life subject plays a really big part in the book that I'm writing, and I really feel like it could use an injection of authenticity. And as much as I was sort of researching online and Googling a lot of different things, and again, sort of parlaying other people's experiences that they had outside of my school, friends of mine who were in sororities, I think this will add some good context. And even if it's like things that don't wind up in the book, but I think that the dynamic between women as much as it is between men at that age in this kind of a situation and in this kind of life, and sort of trying to fit in, and what people will do and what people will put up with and what people subject people to. It's just really interesting. And thinking back on my experience, as much as this probably comes to no surprise to people, did keep journals basically my whole life, although I've been awful about it in the past couple of years. I do have a lot of pretty honest insights of my own from back then, but it's a great way to kind of get back in the right mindset, and to really understand what drives people to do what they do, especially when it comes to the hazing and the abuse, both physical and often psychological, I think, with a lot of the sorority experiences. And let's be honest, there's just way more to it than what you can see in a Lifetime movie, which I also devour when it's sorority related because I think it's great fun. But I'm interested to read both of these, and hopefully they will help to inform my book and make it more authentic. It should go without saying my book is fiction thriller. So anyway, trying to add some authenticity there. And then my last book, take a breath, like talking like a crazy person, crap. I have heard so much about, I have seen it in a bunch of places. I saw it in the library, I saw it in the bookstore. I wanted to get it. It's an author I have never read before. It is a book that many people on this channel have recommended to me when I have talked about looking for a book to read, and I finally decided to pick it up and do it. And it's The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield. And this is also a mystery, but it's more of like historical fiction mystery, I think. And I feel like it's got a lot of vibes of a lot of different books that I like. So it says, sometimes when you open the door to the past, what you confront is your destiny. So we have a reclusive author, famous for her collection of 12 enchanting stories, has spent the past 6 decades penning a series of alternate lives for herself. Now old and ailing, she's ready to reveal the truth about her extraordinary existence and the violent and tragic past she has kept secret for so long. Calling on Margaret Leah, a young biographer troubled by her own painful history, Vida dissenters the life. Dissenters? Is that a, what am I? Oh my God, you guys, I'm so burnt out. I thought I felt better. I'm so burnt out. So Margaret is mesmerized by the author's tale. It is so dark in here, and this book is so dark. My vision is like going something fierce. Margaret is mesmerized by the author's tale of Gothic strangeness, featuring the beautiful and willful Isabel, the feral twins Adeline and Emmeline, a ghost, a governess, a topiary garden, and a devastating fire. Together, Margaret and Vida confront the ghosts that have haunted them while becoming finally transformed by the truth themselves. Whew, that was a lot. So in some way, there's a part of this that reminds me of The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I think it is the old ailing lady finally telling the truth about her life. But there also has like these sort of like Ruth Ware Gothic vibes to it, and I still haven't read Rebecca, but I feel like there's sort of like some Gothic-y mystery Rebecca vibes going on. But it's supposed to be just an amazing book, and I know they made a movie of it also, and I believe Olivia Colman was in it. So I'd be curious to see that too. This book came out in 2006, so I am so late to the game. But it just sounds like a really interesting book. And again, I have not read Diane Setterfield, but I've heard so many great things about this book and about her as a writer. So there it was, and now it's here, and that's the end of my haul. So that does it for the book outlet haul, and it's a little bit random. That's okay. I really wanted to get those books for the research, for my book, and that's kind of what sparked everything, because I found them at Book Outlet. And then, as always, there's a couple books on my wish list there. My wish list is huge in general for books, so I will definitely be back on Book Outlet for that Black Friday sale that they do, which is tremendous. But for now, these 8 books are more than going to hold me over. We'll see when I read them. But thank you guys for watching today. Thanks for spending a little bit of your time with me. Let me know if you've read any of these books, or if you have picked up anything new, or there's anything that you're really excited about right about now to read. And I will see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.